Good morning. Good morning. This is always so weird. Is this thing on? I always get a couple blips first. Good morning. We are back talking about smashing Superwoman syndrome. Yesterday, I talked for about 15 minutes or so on the first reason that we as ladies have this Superwoman mindset, and it's this need to have a tight grip on everything and to be in control and to really control things around us. So I gave you some homework to do, gave you some homework. Part of that was listing out some things that truly can be delegated. So the problem that creates, though, is here we are as superhero women spinning all these plates, and we have to get past the mindset that, if we let go of one, they all come crashing down. Well, let's say you do that. You get rid of some of those plates, you're feeling good. Then you look around. Well, the woman over there is spinning more plates than I am. The woman over there looks like she's doing more. She's more capable. How's she able to hold all that together? And we take our plates back. This is optics. It's optics. It's this ugly comparison game that drives behaviors so that we do more to keep up the appearance of being enough. And ladies, I know you know this. I know that you do. You're intelligent and amazing. You know this, but we're talking about it because you're still doing it, aren't you? So these optics of keeping up lead to this loop in our brains of the way we talk to ourselves. It ends up in our subconscious. Most of your thinking is done subconsciously, and it's driving behaviors, and it has an enormous impact on your life, much of which you are completely unaware of. So we're going to talk a little bit more about becoming aware. Hey, good morning, Wendy. I see comments today. Yesterday I couldn't find my buttons. I see comments. Um, so we're going to talk about how to find that loop in your head, and what do you do about not feeling enough? This enough word. It's kind of like being in a real life version of Hunger Games where everyone wants to be the victor in a contest no one wants to win. We're all trying to be the busiest, the most overwhelmed. I mean, the response that you get when, oh, I'm just so overwhelmed. So they're doing so much, being the most burned out, being the hardest worker. We all want that title, but is that what you really, really want? You don't, and then when you let go of it, you get this enormous external pressure to live up to it anyway. So, optics. Yesterday, when we talked about being in control and having control of everything, it was a preconceived notion of how things are supposed to go. The comparison game is having preconceived notions about how it's supposed to look. There's a lot of pressure behind that. And this one's really complicated because as women, we are conditioned to not think very highly of ourselves. And yet this very issue is about ego, not puffing ourselves up. It's twisted into a sneaky format of ego where we want others to think highly of us. And if others think highly of us, that makes us enough. So ladies, again, just like everything I teach, there's a lot of lip service to, well, just let go of it or just do this. It isn't that easy. It isn't that easy. You need practical application and ways to identify this in yourself and ways to work through it. Some of it really is that awareness. And I'll talk about an exercise that you can go through in a minute. But I want to give you a couple of personal examples. So this kind of hit me yesterday. Even though I've taught on this before, I still find it in myself. For those of you who know me personally, you know that I am starting a garden this year. I've never had a garden in my whole life. I have a veggie garden. I rented a plot at our city hall. They have a community garden, and this is my practice year. I don't even know if I want to be a gardener. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I rented a raised bed because it was the smallest size, and I thought, what a great opportunity for a low cost, minimal effort to learn something. My entire goal is to learn. Learn a little bit about growing food, learn about the creative process, learn how it works, what doesn't work, where do I fail, where don't I, and to have that time in the dirt and in nature, and maybe get some vegetables at the same time, and decide if I want to do it for real on a bigger scale next year. That's my goal. That's it. So I went and I did some growing from seed, and I bought some starter plants and I planted them last Saturday. I was very excited. The garden was open. I went in and I kind of looked around like nobody else has planted anything. I was thinking that maybe I was a little late to the party, but nothing. So then I started to question myself, is this like, am I too early? Am I doing this wrong? And then I've been coming back every day to water. Okay, I see maybe a couple people have like moved their dirt. I don't see a lot of plants, but maybe I was only supposed to do seed. Maybe I shouldn't have done starter plants. Questioning myself. Came back another day, yeah, not a lot of activity. Came back again. People have fencing around their raised beds. No growth, but should I have put up a fence? So you see, looking around at how others are doing it made me question my validity, my performance. And it wasn't even about that. And it was going to take the joy out of it if I let that go too long. But I was starting to notice it, that why am I looking around at other garden plots? I got to worry about mine. And I already had gone into it with the intention of, if nothing grows, if it's an epic failure, it's not an epic failure because I've learned what doesn't work. That's my entire goal, and my entire goal got disrupted by what other people are doing. How often do you do that in your lives? Do you do it at work? Do you do it at home? Wendy, you do it all the time. Comparing and second guessing myself. We second guess ourselves out of, into an area where it wasn't even our original objective. The mind is so sneaky. Here's the thing. Don't you think that it's entirely possible? I mean, I hope not. I don't want anyone else falling into this comparison game, but don't you think it's possible that someone else was coming to put their fence up and they were looking at my garden going, wow, she's already got it planted. Wow, she's got growth. Wow, I can see that it's wet. Like she's been here watering. She's on the ball. The garden that you are questioning in your life is the garden that someone else is comparing themselves to. I don't want it to be that way. I really don't. I don't want someone comparing themselves to me. I don't want to compare myself to someone else, but we do it. We do it. If you're a mom, there's another layer of complexity there because there's so many opinions on the right way to mom. Even though you're an individual, your children are individuals, and your synergy, your combination of you is completely unique. And yet we look externally all the time. What's the game plan? What's the right thing to do? When my younger daughter was kind of like in that 18, 19 range, and you're reflecting backwards of what you could have done differently. I remember a good friend of hers, it was her birthday, and I saw on Facebook her mom posted a picture of her daughter with pancakes shaped into a 1 and a 9 because it was her 19th birthday. I immediately thought, wow, I've never made number-shaped pancakes for my kids' birthdays. How did she do that? Kind of like the garden thing again. How did she do that? How did she do that, first of all, on a weekday before work? How early did she have to get up to make pancakes by hand in little shapes? I've never done that. And I immediately felt less than enough. Is that really the barometer? When you see that happening, ask yourself, is that really the barometer? When I reflect on my kids' birthdays, I made them special. Maybe it was dinner, not breakfast, or something entirely different. But we do this so much, we burn all this energy looking around and seeing what someone else's good looks like. So ladies, that's your homework for today. I want to keep this short. You have 2 pieces of homework. Well, 3 pieces. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, you're missing that homework. It's important to kind of get a handle on what it is in your life that you're overly controlling and what you can let go of, because that's contributing to Superwoman syndrome. And then so is this weird Hunger Games we're in and being the victor of being everything when you don't actually want it. You don't actually want it. Do what you want. Homework consists of define and discovery. So the first thing I want you to do, you can do it right now. Grab a piece of paper and it'll just take you a few minutes to define what does good look like for that area that you think you are lacking in. And I know that something's popping into your head immediately, the thing that you compare yourself on, the thing that you're doubting yourself on. Is it being a mom? Is it being a boss? Or however you perform in the workplace? Being a leader, being a wife, like whatever it is, wherever you're comparing yourself, wherever you feel less than enough, I want you to write out, well, what does good look like? What does being a good daughter of aging parents look like? How often does she check in? Write out, what does good look like? You will find, as you're being really honest about what good looks like, that there will be evidence that it's true for you. If it's being a good mom, what does a good mom actually look like? Is your standard just ridiculous? Or when you get down to the basics of what is it that makes a good mom? And then do you find evidence that describes you? Are you in that description? Go through that exercise. Go through it more than once if you need to. The second thing I want you to do, I will share the link. I have a YouTube video. When I do my live classes, I do this exercise. I do this with my private one-on-one clients, and everyone always is just like, okay, I went into it, thinking it was a little weird. It's a fantastic exercise. It will reveal more than you could ever expect. It's a guided exercise that gets you in touch with your inner mean girl. And it's really powerful because you will actually hear what she is saying. That's that subconscious I talked about, the subconscious words that are affecting your actions and the way that you limit yourself. So you have to be incredibly aware of what it is. And I love seeing this with clients. I've seen over time, they say, wow, I was in this situation. And then they give me the name of their mean girl. I saw her popping up, so I knew how to squash her. I knew how to overcome it. You can't overcome it if you don't know it. So it's an 8-minute guided exercise of discovery that you can just press play. Make sure you're in a private place because it's actually like you're standing, you're doing a little bit of physical work, but it's a mental exercise and it's going to reveal a whole lot to you about what is happening in this negative loop that you're speaking to yourself. Those loops that you speak over yourself do not serve you at all. And if you are exhausted by being Superwoman, it is worth that 8 minutes for you to look into that. So I will share the link to that. So do your define what's good, do your discovery, find out what your mean girl is saying. And then we're going to come back tomorrow because there's still kind of an open problem. You know, we're aware of this comparison that we're doing, but the root of it is that we're looking out here. We're looking out here for our identity and external things and our roles, and we don't know how to flip it. And this really comes in strongly when we have any kind of transition in life, a new empty nest, a retirement, a marriage, a divorce. Any type of transition really highlights what your identity is tied to, and that can really work for you or against you, depending on where you're at. So we're going to get into that tomorrow. But until then, do your discovery, do your design, make sure you did your homework from yesterday, post your questions here, your aha moments here. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye. Bye, Wendy.